Let's talk sabbaticals.
Yes,
You've
let's.
just had one, Virginia. How good are they?
They're bloody great. No, they're fantastic. Mine was, more for, health reasons and to, get this body back in alignment after getting up, very early for the last 10 years.
And did it work?
You'll be looking down the barrel of one for you very soon, my friend. Yeah, no, it really does. Yes, of course, physically you feel a whole lot better. Your eyes are brighter and less red and roomy. But the best thing is that it gives you perspective. It just gives you a sort of a mental reset. Although I don't think our dear friend Andrew May, who, as you know, is our life coach here and hopefully yours as well.
He's always on holiday. He's on a
It's the impression
global
I get too.
sabbatical.
Absolutely. When does it ever bloody work? But he has a slightly different idea, doesn't he? He doesn't think they're always such a good idea.
Yeah, I think he largely does, but he is going to point out in our chat, regular chat with him in 10 minutes, there could be for some downsides if you have a long sabbatical, even a month or two. You could come back in some cases disengaged, lacking motivation and really suffering career-wise. But he's pointing to lots of research showing that on balance that there are much more advantages than disadvantages in sabbaticals.
I can see what he means, but I wonder if that's actually just a naming issue. What one might call lack of motivation and disengaged, another person might actually see as that new perspective, which is, OK, I think I thought that about my job and the way I'm living and working, but now I think this, and it's possibly time for a change. Making the change or a more permanent change is absolutely more tricky than it sounds, but I wonder if perspective might be the overarching thing. But we'd love to hear from you. Very different ways of taking sabbaticals. Many people, when they hit their longed-for long service leave, pack the kids up in the camper van and, go travelling if they can, or others take a chance to go overseas, and people here have done that. I stayed at home, but I'd love to hear how you've done it or what you'd like to do and what it matters to you if you get the chance for a sabbatical.
Now, take a moment to imagine a long holiday away from work. You might be sipping cocktails on a beach or hiking through a rainforest. Yes, we'd all like to take a sabbatical, but are they all they're cracked up to be?
Yes, they are. To delve through the pros and the cons of an extended break, we're joined by our resident performance coach, who seems to us to always be on holidays anyway, Andrew May. Andrew, good morning.
Virginia, welcome back.
Thank you
the last
so much.
few episodes I've been on here, I've been with MJ and the crew as well. I do some work. I think I just take some little mini breaks. I heard what you said. We'll pick that up after.
It's more that whenever you're doing all your marvellous physical training work, it's usually down at a beach somewhere, stripped to the waist, and to us, that looks like a holiday.
I have been asked to keep the shirt on in future.
Yeah, well, you need to work in your rig. I mean, I'll say it out there. It's.
I think today we're talking about sabbaticals, right? Yeah.
We are talking about sabbaticals. So what?
You've got a pretty good rig, by the way.
What's the definition of a sabbatical?
The first sabbatical recorded was back in 1880. Thank you, Michael. Back at Harvard University, where they used to look at giving academics breaks. I think this came, Virginia, out of universities and academics to take a brain break. And what they found is when the high cognitive processing people had a break, they came back fresh. But I think, and as your experience shows, a sabbatical can freshen up much more than the brain. It's good for relationships. It's good for career. There's a guy in the US, a famous designer.
It's good for career.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later, but OK.
Yeah, there's a guy named Stefan Segmeister. I almost said Steven Seagal, different guy.
Stefan Segmeister.
Stefan Segmeister, what a great name.
Yes.
Every 7 years, he takes 1 year off. And his theory is this.
Lucky him.
We educate ourselves for about 25 years,
Yep.
our first 25. We work for 40 and then we retire for 15 if we live to 80. Most of us will live beyond that. So he says, why don't you take some of those retirement years and intersperse that along your career, and you'll have a longer career and be more colourful, more vibrant, and be better at contributing.
Now, you've recently taken a month off. In fact, we showed you pictures of your pictures of swimming the English Channel as part of that. What benefits did you derive from taking that sabbatical?
Benefits I derived from swimming the Channel was finishing it,
yes,
and not doing that again. Virginia and I have spoken about that.
Yes.
I had about 6 weeks, Michael, and it was time to reflect and connect. So reflect on leaving KPMG full time. What do I want to do next? And it helped me decide what not to do as much as what to do. And I think sabbatical has different terms. We often, redundancy is a forced sabbatical.
Yes.
Long service leave. And anyone going through those periods, it's just taking some time out. Am I doing the right things?
I took a break too, so I took 3 months all up, and had a complete reset. And I had many people saying to me, "Oh, where are you going? Where are you travelling to?" And I very deliberately didn't. I stayed home, and I just got myself sort of, happy and well again. I think there's some pictures of some of the stuff that I was doing.
Living through your Instagram account.
Well, it was a very straightforward feed. It was just that.
I commented on that one. I
did
really
laps.
excited. You were at the pool.
Yeah, I did
early in the
laps,
morning.
and I preserved some olives, and they're now actually under brine in jars. But what was interesting was I wrote a column about it when I came back for the weekly reads, which I hope you sign up for. It's some of the best writing out there on the ABC. And what was interesting after I wrote this sort of reflection on the 3 months away were how many women contacted me, and this refers to your point about being good for the career, and how terrified they are of taking that long break. It happens anyway when you have kids, and when you step back on, sometimes you find that you've lost your footing or you've missed your place. But if they take another break, how it might actually be the worst thing they do for their career.
Yeah, and Michael was saying this in the introduction earlier, that there is a darker side of taking a break or sabbaticals. One is for a lot of people whose self-worth is directly related to their net worth, meaning, hello, my name is Andrew and I am the doctor, the lawyer, the news presenter. When you're
Senior
not
partner
working,
at KPMG, yes.
yeah, and when you're not working, then a lot of people struggle because that's their whole role identity. So that's the first one. The second one is if you don't have proper career support, meaning if you don't have a manager or supervisor that really gives you time off, but then allows you to come back to your previous role. So a lot of those women who contacted you, that there is a genuine concern around that. So if you're taking a break, make sure you have coverage and support in your workforce. So it takes a fair bit of guts, doesn't it? Steve Arn's Segmeister, taking a year off every 7 years. That's probably extreme. But I think we all, and Michael, I don't know whether you've had a break recently, like an extended break, but I found that 6 weeks for me, it did wonders. Like with you, Virginia, you got that sparkle when you talk about it. It was just awesome to take some time out and think, I've got a long career ahead of me. What am I going to do next?
Many people, you also say, find themselves in a vacuum for that first, often disconcerting 2 or 3 weeks if they are so caught up with their job. What advice is there for people who might be in that situation to, I guess, better derive the benefits from a sabbatical if they're looking down the track of another, 6, 8, 10 weeks?
It's an obvious one, Michael, but do some planning. I don't know whether you did any planning. I purposely didn't because my life is scheduled to the minute to go to the beach and get the topless photo.
We know.
Okay, show Andrew's topless photos. Come on, that's the cue.
So what? We don't
have them.
So we had him on a B-roll permanently.
Got back to the segment. I consciously decided not to plan, but Michael, a lot of people don't plan. They freak out 2 or 3 weeks into it. A question for you.
God, I didn't.
And I can tell you, did you have any moments where you thought, I could do this longer? And
Yes.
did you have any moments where you thought, be careful, your bosses are watching, but did you think about doing anything else? Because what often happens in a sabbatical, people go, I'd like to do something more creative or try something.
No, absolutely. But I think that's a really important distinction. Michael and I were talking about it before, where you're making the observation about you can come back unmotivated or disconnected from your workplace or even critical of it. But I think that's, and that can happen too, I'm sure. But another sort of aspect of that is actually a different perspective, which is this is, a fabulous, life and job, but maybe there's something else, or maybe there's another way of living. And I think that example of the extreme example of the guy who took the year off in order to have the extended work life, you've got to look at your life, I think, as how do you want to live your entire life. It's not about work over here, family over there, job over there. You've got to integrate that as much as you possibly can and live your best life.
So true.
And if there's some way of doing that, and if there's some perspective that you can get from a break, then, and if you're lucky enough to be able to get a break,
well, that's the other thing. Many people, sadly, can't even get 4 or 5 weeks off in a block, which is... It's changing, I think.
That's right.
Workplaces are becoming much more family friendly, but for those people out there watching, wanting to dream of having this, it might just be mission impossible.
No, absolutely right.
And I'm sure there's some viewers going, it's all right for you guys.
Yeah.
In Australia, depending on the state, every 7 to 10 years, you get between 6 and 8 weeks called long service leave. I think ACT is the best. After 7 years, you get 8 weeks.
But of course, the portability of the long service leave is the issue now, because so many people spool through different jobs and they don't stay at the job long enough to accumulate that longed for long service leave,
probably some merit
which our parents all had. My father, I remember him getting his and the like. But unless that's portable,
and it's
you're
not.
just
It is a
chucking
challenge.
it away.
So if you don't have that, because we do tend to change jobs fairly quickly, even at Christmas, if you can bank up a few holidays, lock in a couple of public holidays around it, I call that a mini sabbatical, and that's 2 weeks. And I'm sure most people watching can try and get 2 weeks And the key thing is even what Virginia, I think the buzz term now is a staycation, where you stay where you are.
Yeah, it's not a buzz, it's popular parlance.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic
But
thing.
it's dropping the
It is a nice thing
tools.
to do.
And
so-
disconnecting
Yeah.
as much as one can.
If you work, get off technology. If you're a builder, don't do your back deck. So, do something different. And the neuroscientists have looked at this. There's two things going on in the brain. One is executive function and the other one is our future orientation.
Yeah.
They work against each other, but on a sabbatical, they actually can come together because your brain has time to process future and also think about, what am I doing right now?
What really interested me about staying at home and being at home the entire time was that we work so hard to create a nice home, a lovely home, and to have a good community in a neighbourhood and friends nearby. And then the moment you get 3 days in a row, public holidays, everyone goes away.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Yeah.
Stay and see the lovely thing that you've made in your home and in your neighbourhood and in your community. And it's so nice to enjoy.
We pack the car up, drive for hours, and then come back on a Sunday stressed out.
Yeah,
How was your
exactly. And then
holiday?
madly unpack and do washing for a week. Yeah.
So I think the underlying theme on this, whether it's a sabbatical, whether it's a redundancy, whether it's a career break, take some time out and tap into your creative pursuits. And I'm looking forward. When are the olives ready?
The olives will be ready in 45 days.
Nice.
So bring them in and we'll do a taste test
You're
here on the
shameless.
program.
Shameless.
You're shameless.
He wants a jar, doesn't he? All right, you can have a jar too. The jars have disappeared.